Okay, back again. I've turned off the oven, so everything's sorted in there. You know, after it's really good to have a break like that, even just for a few minutes, a few seconds actually. It's all I had there now, but it made me come back and appreciate this a bit more. I'm not sure if I want to do stencils on there. Kind of like the way that it is now, and I am going to do my line of bright light here. It's one of the things I love about Gladhouse is the brightness of the light on the water. It's absolutely glorious. Now, yeah, I see, to be honest, I feel like I need a bit more dark before I put on the light. A bit more dark here, because I don't want some of the peachy colour showing through there. So, I don't know if this will work now, just after putting on the paint. I'm going to cover it and hope for the best. And just put down my bright colour. In between those two bits of flimsy, kind of soggy masking tape. It's okay, Maisie. Alright, let's see now. So I'm using quite a lot of white paint. I think white is the colour to use here. And it's going to be extra bright as we get over here. So I'm going to thicken it up again for this section. The thicker it is, the lighter it reads as being. I really don't want the white going underneath the masking tape, because this shimmery light is important to me, the clarity of it. So there's one strip off. And there's a second strip. Maybe a bit too thick here. But this is generally what I was after. I'll just go right to the end there. There's this shimmering line of brightness. That's what I was after. I'm just checking to see if there's something that might read as if there's something that might read as the ripples on the water in these stencils, and I think the closest to it is the lines of grasses. I might just try a couple and see. I can kind of stagger it. To be honest now, I'm not holding out much hope that this is going to look okay. It's a bit strange, isn't it? I think maybe what I should really go for there is something finer in relation to stencils or brush marks or something. Just use my finger. Yeah, and I kind of wish I didn't leave that glob of white on there either. Just soften it down a bit, because it's causing a shadow to fall underneath it, and I don't want that happening. There we are, that's a bit more than I'm after. And then there's more light again beneath it, not quite as bright, so I'll use the powder blue for that next line. Powder blue mixed with a touch of white, and it'll emphasize this little peninsula a bit more as well, and even the kind of vegetation that's growing on it by the hairy edge that the brush mark is making. And picking up some more of that blue. It'll get wider and kind of more muted as it goes over there. And then it features here again that bluish colour. And it does feature down here, but it's like the ripples that well, it's quite bright here. It's hardly even ripple, it's more shape of bright, really. That's all. Just some horizontal bright light. I suppose this could be the shadow of the hillside on the water. I'm only just realising that now. And there's an extra glowing bright bit here as well. My eyes are half closed here now so that I can trust that I'm getting the tones accurately rather than seeing too much. Sometimes I see too much and can end up becoming particular and pernickety. So generally this area, it seems to me to be reading like this as I see it, my eyes half closed. And slightly unsure edge there, but the bright and darks seem to me to be in roughly the right location. And then we can adjust the edging accordingly. Toilet paper coming off and everything on there. And adjust the edge on this side too. Tiny bit of water. So it is really all very dry. This process of working from a photo on the gesso board has me painting with very little water, really just to wash the brush is the reason for the water. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if the proportion of land to water is exact here, but it's how I like it. I kind of want it to be. I'm quite happy with it being that steep. And I'll just let it come down here a little bit over the edge. And I think it gets a bit darker than down here, so that the land is clearly lighter than it at the edge. I kind of feel like I want to put something like a splash of horizontal runs is what I was looking for there, I think. Maybe if I hold it like this and give it a blow, it might go a bit horizontal. Not really, but it's alright. I just wanted something that was losing it a small bit again, because I sometimes feel, you know, if it's all going a bit predictable, I like to have something, especially when it's something I'm painting like water. I like there to be an element of chance come in and things to change again a bit. I'm going to just use the brush with no paint on it but water on it to sculpt in some ripples. I picked up some of that blue, that's why it went a bit bluer there. And then I just picked up some white paint from the palette. Okay, I think something about the edge feels a little unsettled around here, so I'm just going to give some attention to that. There's some touches of dark stones here and there that might help filling in some of the larger shapes as it goes into the distance. I think is helpful too. And why don't I just give it a shot to use some petals or something to make some shapes with the stencil. I think I was planning on using a lighter tone over the dark brown But it's almost as though I don't really need to put too much light in there. I don't think. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, that's okay. I'll put some shapes in that kind of slightly lighter. It's like a mid colour really. And it seems to get brighter as I get down towards the bottom of the painting. Those colours. The shapes, I mean, seeing the stones and different things seem to get light as we go down here. And maybe a bit warmer too, so a bit more yellow ochre, a bit more red in for those bits that are down here. And so that the shapes don't read as being too particular, I'm overlapping some of them. It's kind of a chaos, isn't it, of stones and scree and things. So I wouldn't want to look as though it's neat little flower shapes really. A few down here as well, a bit brighter. And even just stippling on with the brush. It's called stippling when you press the paint on, like printing with the tip of the brush. I'm going to put something a bit red in towards the other side there. Yeah, I like the little bit of warmth coming in. I think maybe because it works with the distant hills too, having some warmth in the foreground. Similar tones to what's in the distance. And maybe, seeing as there's some green in there, I think I might put some light green patches on as well. Just those little bits there with the yellow-green hint to them. Nothing on there. But I think better if it's a broken up shape again, so I'll just do that little flower. There's one flower that seems to work for me. And maybe just stippling is what I need to do. I need to pick up some more paint though, because that colour is quite a bright green there at the edge. No, really, I think that colour needs some cerulean blue in it. To make it pleasing. Sorry, to make it a pleasing yellow. The kind of yellow I'm after. The kind of green I mean that I'm after. Which is more like this bright green. Some over here too. Some touches. And kind of mossy feel to it, like. So I think printing it gives it the texture that I'm wanting. Printing it with my fingers. Maybe stippling too. But really this green could feature back there, couldn't it? Could be touched in as a brighter accent in those distant fields. Not really too sure about the green in the foreground actually. Orange background. I think it maybe didn't need to be inserted there. quite so clearly. Just re-establish the dark edge. And a little bit of dark around the houses. And then the dip of the hill behind them. Little bits and pieces of dark here too, possibly. Okay, this is the kind of painting that if I were to come back with some oil paint, I might have a few places that I could touch the oil paint into, just a few little areas, and it might be the icing on the cake, you know. If you use the same colour in oil as is there in acrylic, it can often have it just adds something lush to the surface and makes those parts that we want to really sing out be centre stage. Something to do with its buttery texture, maybe the oil draws attention to itself over this more matte acrylic surface. But you know, no, that was an appealing project for me. I'm feeling reasonably pleased with myself. I think maybe I still want to heighten the bright in the sky just a touch more again. It seems that every so often I want to go back and just do a bit of brightness here. It's more watercolour that dries a shade lighter, so I don't know. The story with acrylic, maybe it does dry a little bit lighter too. Or once it dries it becomes less vibrant looking. So that's maybe why I feel I want to keep going back and bringing more brightness in to the horizon. It's causing there to be a ridge more at the edge where the landscape meets the sky, you know, the way that I'm doing it here, pulling it in. And it's the effect that I somehow feel I'm wanting here, is to have the sky being almost like a thick syrup as it meets the land. So pulling and lifting seems to be creating that effect for me. I think a bit of yellow ochre got into my white there, but it's not the end of the world because it's kind of a sky colour too, isn't it? That's okay. Well, maybe I do want it to be less yellow ochre and more powder blue or cerulean blue. Because the reflection on the water is that, so I don't want it to suddenly go creamy in the sky and have it sharper blue in the water. No, I'm going over my cloud now, but I'll re-establish it with some greys again. You could be here all day, couldn't you, just making small adjustments. I'm quite enjoying it though. I don't think it's I don't feel I'm labouring over it. More like playing with the surface to see how close can I get to the atmosphere I feel in this sky. Colour and all the rest of it helping me there. As soon as I put it there, I want to put it here as well. Don't know what that's about. Just sweeping some dry light paint across it. I think it feels a little bit like the shimmery light on the water when I do that. Need to wash where I wipe my brush, because sometimes I'm wiping it on paper that's not completely clean. And to try some more of that sideways thing here. Or maybe that's enough. I think that's not bad actually. Maybe the ripples needed to be the width of this brush. Okay. Alright, I'd say I may call it a day now. I think I've done my thing with this one. Not completely convinced of the foreground, but maybe I need to put it just a wash of something over it to subdue it just a little. Something like that kind of a shade. To stop those bright bits having so much of an impact. So I think that's okay, because I'm still getting the pattern with it being dry underneath. And see, what I'm trying to do now is create a colour that I can spray over the top that'll read as light again. And smaller, finer pattern of drips. If I was being very careful with myself, I would have masked off the water, just even by putting a piece of paper over it before splashing on that stuff, but I wasn't being very careful. And that's okay, only a couple of drips went up there. I'll just be able to wipe them away. Okay, I think that's the end for me. Oh, see, whenever I look at it on the screen, I kind of think, oh, I just need to do something more to that little bit. And the bit I'm looking at there is here. It seems to be jumping out a bit more than I wanted to. So I feel like I want to bring down the water a bit there. Don't be worried about fine tuning for ages. If you feel like something needs to be done, do it. Don't worry about feeling like you're overdoing it or all of that carry on. I think we sometimes give ourselves a hard time for no reason. So what if it goes beyond? So what if it's got more marks on it than it's not the end of the world. You can play with it and push it beyond the edge. So let me see now. Just want to bring the water down a little bit more. So I've just mixed the cerulean blue with the white there. Bring the water down a bit more and then subdue. Maybe I'll subdue it with stenciled on. Something stenciled on. When I say subdue, I mean like to lighten the stony bits up here, so it's not got such a contrast and isn't coming forward so much. Just nip down anyway. Now I could cover that a little bit as I put on a few more bits of lightish spray. You can let it dry and see what happens, sure. Got these big lumps of paint in the way now and I'm trying to do my stenciling and stuff. Stop looking at it for a second and dry my brush and see if there's any more little bits to be resolved here. Okay, that's alright, I think. Yeah, it's okay. It's helpful for me to see it on the screen and then I kind of see, oh yeah, I just need to do a little bit more texture here in the water. Some little bit of texture and dark on the water there. Little things come to me when I look on the screen and see it. And that would be the same for you if you stand away from a distance from it. Or just take yourself away for a couple of minutes. Come back and you'll see something that could be adjusted then. Breaking up parts. I'd say I better stop because I'm starting to maybe not see it anymore now. So I'll just call a halt there. And here's what happened. That's where I'm going to end. So you can see there's a bit of carry on with the stenciling and different things in the foreground and splashing the water on. It's still quite wet there. But the piece, the pièce de résistance, the bit that I was interested in was that line of light in the top of the water, and that's what I focused on, achieving a bit most clarity in, and I was working up to that brightness and also trying to make the landscape beyond it sit sit harmoniously in relationship to that bright water. And then everything else was a bit of a support act, really. So it's all acrylic, using the burgundy flat brush set and a gesso panel. And you can see the size of it in relation to my hand. Okay, thanks for watching. All the best, guys.